Wendi Adelson, a third-year law student, married Dan Eric Markel, a law professor, on February 26, 2006. Wendi has a brother, Charlie Adelson, and they share Donna Adelson as their mother. Wendi and Dan's marriage appeared to be perfect for the first few years. They had 2 young boys and lived in beautiful Bedden Hills, Tallahassee. Dan would occasionally travel for work, and on one such occasion, he left for a business trip and returned home to divorce papers resting on the bed he shared with his wife. His children and spouse were nowhere to be found. Dan stated this was his worst nightmare. His family wasn't the only thing missing from his Bedden Hills home. Hundreds of thousands of dollars and family heirlooms left with Wendi. It would be incorrect to say this was completely out of the blue. Wendi was described as very unhappy around 6 years after their marriage, when she was a clinical law professor at Florida State University. The divorce was finalized on July 31, 2013. Most assets were divided in 2 between the divorcees, including custody of their children. They frequently bickered, especially regarding their sons. They couldn't even agree on who would sign them up for soccer. 12 months after their divorce was finalized, Dan would die in the hospital due to a gunshot wound to the head. Wendi's brother, Charlie, and his one-time girlfriend, Catherine, have been arrested on murder charges, with Catherine receiving a guilty conviction in 2022. Charlie is currently being held without bond. How did a law professor end up being shot to death by his wife's brother's one-night stand without the wife being involved? What was the possible motive for such a distantly related person? Wendi Adelson had a life many people would envy. She was a clinical law professor at a renowned university. She was young and beautiful. She was married to an older, successful man who came from wealth, and she had 2 sons she cared for deeply. What could lead a person like this to be detained for conspiracy to commit murder? Loving one's children is a prerequisite for good motherhood. Would a good mother kill for her children's success? Wendi believed the answer to be yes. Fed up with custody battles and a lack of control over her sons' childhoods, Wendi decided to eliminate the one person preventing her from raising her kids in the manner she wanted to. She may have decided she wanted the ex-husband, Dan Markel, dead. This case is for you to decide whether you think Wendi was involved or not. I make no claim as to whether I believe Wendi is responsible for Dan's death. It is up to you to view her interrogation and her testimony in court and decide your opinion on this case.
Did your ID with you?
I just listened to my voicemail.
What'd you hear?
I
Who was
just-
your voicemail?
It's from Lisa Carey, who is my real estate agent, or who I had gone with to find a house. She just said she was driving around town and she heard there was a shooting on Trescott.
Yeah, that's what this is about. I'm sorry you had to hear it that way.
I'm sorry, I didn't know if I should.
It's all right, just leave it there. Is it still on?
It's right there.
And you want to just hit play again for me?
Sure.
It's interesting that Wendi is open about her knowledge of the crime. In other cases, subjects will often pretend to be completely aloof regarding the situation, acting as if they have no knowledge of the crime whatsoever. She is immediately assuming that she has been brought to the police station because of the shooting on her street, implying that she knows she is involved.
Hey, it's Lisa Carey. It is Friday, and I feel like an idiot doing this, but I just heard that there was a shooting over on Trescott, and I promise I'm not trying to be dramatic or even nosy. I don't know, just checking on you, my friend. I hope all is well. I hope your sweet boys are well, and if there's anything you need, let me know. It just ran a chill down my spine when I heard that there was something going on Trescott. All right, 212-3083. I hope all is well, and I will talk to you soon. Bye.
That's all right, you can stop it. Or does it stop automatically?
It's done.
Okay, do you have your identification with you? So you never took the last name of Markel?
No.
There was a shooting at your home, or your ex-husband's home, at 2116 Trescott. Okay. Your ex-husband, excuse me, Daniel, all right, has been taken to the hospital.
While Wendi does have a
There was a
gobsmacked
shooting.
expression on her face, notice how there is no change in her expression when the detective states that her husband was the victim of the shooting. Again, her face remains the same when she is told that her husband has been taken to the hospital. It could be that she is in complete shock.
He's not going to survive.
Oh my God.
Okay.
I'm sorry, hard. I have a message from him this morning. What happened?
Well, before we get into everything, I have to establish where you were and who you were with and so forth.
Okay.
Okay, and then once we've established all that,
If you had been told that someone you were married to for 6 years was killed, you would want to know immediately what happened. The detective knows what happened. Instead of pleading for this information, when she is told that the detective has to investigate her first, all she says is, okay.
I can give you more details.
Okay.
Do you understand why I wanted you to come here before I discuss this?
Oh my God. Oh my God.
We will never know if the emotion Wendi is experiencing here is genuine.
I'm sorry.
That's okay. No, you have nothing to be sorry about.
I just don't understand. How could this really happen? It's...
Can you let me get over this hump, okay? Can we do that first? All right. Can you tell me what time you left your house this morning?
Yeah, I was there. I didn't leave this morning. I didn't leave until noon.
Okay. And
Oh my God. And I tried to drive up Trescott, and I saw that it was blocked.
It was blocked at some point. I'm not sure what time it was
And I
blocked.
just thought, oh, there's maybe some trees down or something, because sometimes
Oh, you're saying as you drove down which one of the side roads?
when I'm going to a friend's party tonight, and it's a oh my God, what am I even talking about? I needed to buy, it's a stock the shelf engagement party, and so I went to buy bourbon.
Okay.
So I went to drive from my place up Trescott to get to ABC Liquor, and it was blocked, so I just turned around. I was on the phone at the time. I wasn't paying a lot of attention.
Right.
So I just turned around and drove up the other way. I just thought, oh, sometimes when I lived there were electrical things
Okay.
that would happen. I left my house around 12:15 because I thought I'll get the bourbon and then I'll get some gas for the car, and I need super glue for one of the boys' toys, and I was trying to do all I can before meeting my two friends at 1.
Okay, who was at your house this morning?
The only person that was at my house this morning was a guy from Best Buy, because my TV was broken and it's under warranty.
Either for you.
Yeah, I figured.
Okay, a guy from Best Buy was at your house to work on your TV?
I have his name and everything at the house if you want it, because the boys broke the TV, so he gave me a choice of fixing it or getting a new one.
What time did he come to the house?
He called me at around 8. He was probably there until around 10.
Okay.
Um,
Okay. And then you
and then after he left, I kept working on a paper, and I emailed the paper to a librarian at school to work on some of the citations.
Okay.
And I don't think I talked to anyone else, but I was just...
Notice how she interjects that she didn't talk to anyone else. The question was anyone at your house? Wendi could just be trying to be helpful and provide all the information she can to the detective, but it is common for guilty suspects to go on tangents that go beyond what the detective was asking for.
For an hour or so from the house, I was going to take a shower, but I didn't. I ran out of time. I did laundry, and then I left the house around noon.
To go to the liquor store and the stuff for the party?
Yeah.
Okay, you went down which road you said?
I went down Trescott.
Okay.
I saw a police car there, and I just thought it was blocked, so I just turned around and drove to, I went down the rest of Centerville, went up Benton, took Benton across, went to ABC Liquors, bought the bourbon.
I'm a little confused. You're up on Centerville Road. What's your purpose of driving down Trescott?
It's usually the shortcut to get to
Oh.
Monroe.
To get to Monroe?
I usually take it as a cut through to get to Thomasville or Monroe.
Okay, all right, so
I
you,
don't know why I said Monroe. I was thinking Mosaic, Monroe, Thomasville.
okay, so when you come down into town on Centerville,
I almost always cut through Trescott.
and just drive by your old house?
Well, I do it as a way of like coming to terms with a divorce.
Wendi wanted to be so distant from her husband when they were married that she vacated their shared home with their 2 children. Now, divorced, why would she purposefully drive by their old house on Trescott to, quote, come to terms with the divorce?
Sometimes I drive there. If I'm too sad, I drive around.
Okay.
If the kids aren't home and I know they're not home, I feel better about driving by the house. But yeah, it's shorter and I just usually drive by.
It's shorter than going all the way down to Benton?
All the way down Centerville and around Benton. It's just
Right.
a shortcut I always took.
Okay, so you turned around and went back to Centerville, I take it?
Yeah.
Down to Benton, and went to the liquor store down there on Thomasville?
Yeah.
The one at Benton Road?
ABC Liquors, it's at, Benton. Mm-hmm.
Okay, all right, did you make a purchase there?
Yeah,
And that was sometime after 12?
probably 12:30.
Okay, all right.
And I talked to a guy there because I don't really buy much alcohol, and so they wanted bourbon, and I asked the guy, we had a whole conversation about bourbon.
This is at least the second time during the interview where Wendi has started to smile and giggle. It could be that this is a shock response, but it could also be that the complete absurdity of the situation is getting to her. Additionally, it could be that she cannot believe she is talking about something so mundane during such a serious interrogation.
Right.
My eyes,
Your eyes?
he just said, your eyes are really blue,
Right.
and
You have contacts?
I do.
Okay.
But I just remembered it.
Right.
So I bought the bourbon and got some gas on Thomasville and met my friends at Mosaic.
Which gas station did you go to on Thomasville?
The one that's, I always forget the name, but the one that's close to the cross street, it's right next to the Goodwill.
Okay.
If you're heading north on Thomasville, if you're heading north on Thomasville, it's on your right.
Okay, just past the Goodwill
Just
place?
past the Goodwill, it's close to the intersection there.
Okay, all right, and then from that point, you went straight to the
Went to Mosaic.
Mosaic restaurant?
And met friends there. I used to have kind of a steady Friday meeting, and I hadn't seen my 2 friends in a while. And so we had made plans to meet up.
What time did you get to Mosaic?
About 1. I was a little late. We were supposed to meet at 1, and I got there a few minutes after.
Okay, all right, I know it's cold in here, okay?
I think that's not why I'm
Okay,
shaking.
I know it's part of it, but, do you know anybody that would have a beef against your ex-husband?
He's, oh my God.
I hate to ask it now, but I have to do it now. You understand, right?
I understand. He had friends. He always meant well, but he would sometimes rub people the wrong way.
Okay.
But not anyone who would do something like this.
Anybody that he owes money to?
No, he owes money to me,
He owes money to you?
but not
laughs when stating Dan owes money to her. This question is asked because someone who Dan owes money to is likely to be a suspect in Dan's murder case, not a laughing matter.
Not me.
Okay, all right. All right.
Oh my god, we're poor kids. Oh, I know a lot of people didn't really love him, but I don't know anyone who would do something like this.
Well, we're still trying to determine, what happened and how it happened.
But he wouldn't do this to himself.
Okay,
He was a very positive person.
okay.
No,
No one that you know of or that you've spoken to recently that he's had some type of problem with or that he was concerned about?
no one that he was concerned about. I mean, we've been separated for 2 years, so I don't know,
Right.
if he had something going on, I wouldn't know about it, but, I mean, I had lost my voice earlier this week, and so we had put off this conversation about our son's school and where he was gonna go, and he, I can't, I know a lot of people didn't love him, but not anyone who would, hate him.
Okay.
He meant well, everyone that knew him
Okay.
knows that he means well, but he can be a little, argumentative.
Right.
If you watch true crime, you might recognize what Wendi did here as something that is common for guilty suspects to do: talk bad about someone who has just passed away.
But not, he didn't owe anyone money. He didn't do anything except work and take care of his kids. He wasn't involved in anything bad.
Okay.
I
And
can't believe this is happening.
I know. And he was a professor at the law school, is that correct?
Yeah.
Okay. And your divorce has been 2 years or the total separation, I'm assuming?
Total separation's been 2 years. Our divorce was finalized last summer around this time.
Okay.
He wouldn't do this to himself. He has a girlfriend now.
Do you know his girlfriend?
I met her once in the last couple of weeks. She was visiting. She lives in New York.
Okay. Do you know anything about her?
I know some things about her. She's also a law professor. I know she's recently divorced and she has a son. I don't know if her divorce is final, but I think recently divorced.
Where's she a law professor at?
At NYU.
Okay.
And they seemed very happy, and I mean, I think that was a really good thing in his life. He seemed really happy about it. She came down here, she met the boys, and I met her, and she told me how great she loved the boys. It seemed fine.
Did she ever stay at the house with him?
Just that one time.
When was that?
I remember because I just got back from being with my family in South Florida. Sorry.
It's okay. You're doing great.
So what date was it? I went with my family. It was my dad's 70th birthday, and we went home for it. So his birthday was the 5th. I left Monday the 30th, so she must have come into town Saturday, the evening of the 28th.
What month? June? This past June.
Just now. So. I don't know how long they were dating even. It seemed kind of serious if she met the kids, but I don't really know. He's been going up to New York for conferences and stuff since Lincoln was about a few months old, so he's been...
Prior to this tangent, the detective had only asked if she knew the phone number for Dan's new girlfriend. This tangent is completely unrelated
Going up there
and ties
3.5
with what I
years.
said earlier regarding potentially guilty suspects
So
and their tendency to divulge unnecessary information.
My guess was that they might have known each other for a long time, but have been dating. I don't know how long.
Well, let me ask you something. Does his relationship with her have anything to do with your all's divorce?
No.
No, it had nothing to do with
No.
an extramarital affair or anything?
No, but the only thing I'm thinking is Amy. I don't know what Amy's full divorce situation is like. So if you're gonna think of someone who's not thrilled with Danny, I don't know how happy her husband or ex-husband is with the situation.
Do you know anything about him?
I don't know anything about him.
Okay. So you know Amy Adler, she's a professor at NYU. She was down here from the end of June through the first part of July.
I think just a few days.
Right.
Yeah.
As visiting, but he'd been seeing her when he goes to New York on these conference trips.
Well, he's in New York in the summertime. We have a week on, week off schedule with the boys. So whenever I have them for a week, he goes up to New York for a week. So he's been spending a lot of time up there.
Did he relay to you that he'd been seeing her up in New York, or that's where they met, or anything of that nature?
He didn't tell me about it, but I feel like he was pretty vocal with like our friends and people probably since December about her being his girlfriend. So.
Okay. Who would be his best friend?
When we were still together, he had two best friends. Neither of them are in Tallahassee.
Okay.
Oh my god, I'm completely blanking on their last names right now.
You're being very helpful, okay, and I know it's hard.
I'm trying, I just
You're doing
can't
fine.
believe what's happening.
You're doing fine. I know it's all the shock. I know it's coming to you all at once. Okay?
I don't know who would do this.
Okay, well, it appears from what we've seen so far that someone intentionally hurt Danny. Okay, intentionally. Okay, I don't
You
think.
don't know who it is?
No, and I don't
What if
think.
they come after the boys?
I don't think that's going to be. I have no indication at this time that that's a threat. Okay, but the boys are going to stay with you. You're not going back over to Trescott. Okay.
No, I don't live there anymore.
I know you don't. But the boys are going to stay with you. Okay, and they'll be fine.
I don't know if I can take care of them like this.
All right. Where's your closest family at?
My family actually just talked to my brother this morning. My parents are in Coral Springs.
Okay.
And my brother, I have two brothers, but I'm very close to one of them,
Another tangent.
who is in Fort Lauderdale.
Okay. All right. So that's where you're from originally, I take it?
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
His family's in Canada. Did they know? Did you tell them?
No, they haven't been
Oh
notified
my
yet.
god. His parents are gonna be devastated.
Okay. This is what I want to do, okay? This is what happened, okay? Daniel's been shot, okay? And we have to find out why and who did this. Can you help with that?
I will try.
Okay. What I want to do right now to try to expedite things, okay? But I need your permission, is I want to take your cell phone and download all the information out of it.
Sure.
Do you have a problem with that?
No.
Okay. And then we're gonna make arrangements for you to get the kids, or we'll get the kids somehow, okay? Because the kids are at daycare, right?
Yeah.
And they're gonna need their mother,
Yeah.
okay?
Yeah.
Okay. Can you do that?
Yes.
Okay. I gotta get a form for you to sign, and then I'm gonna get the phone started, okay?
Oh my god. I have a lot of friends.
I know.
How do you know that?
Well, you had two of them up there for a last-minute lunch date, right?
Last minute.
Well, I mean, you went up there, you're sitting with them, you have friends.
I do. What I meant by it is that Danny didn't treat me very well, and I'm
Okay.
so scared that maybe someone did this. Not because they hate Danny, but because they thought this was good somehow.
Oh, are you saying that you think maybe one of your friends would have done something
Who
like
would
this?
do this?
I don't know. That's why you're here, and that's why we're talking. Would you ever ask someone to do something like this?
Not in a million years.
Okay. Do you think someone would do this for your benefit without asking you?
No.
What good does it serve?
I made my brother, his name's Charlie, the one I'm really close to. He makes a lot of jokes in bad taste, and it was a joke he made. He bought the TV for me this morning that got broken, and I was talking to him about whether it made sense to pay to fix it or whether I should get a new one, and it was always his joke that, like, he knew Danny treated me badly, and it was always his joke. He said, I looked into hiring a hitman, and it was cheaper to get you this TV, so instead I got you this TV.
Okay.
I mean, he would never. He's my big brother, and he's been taking care of me since I was little, but he would never. And I told that to the repair guy this morning.
Right. That's okay. That's what I have to find out.
To do something like this.
The brother that you're real close to, I have to do a lot of elimination at the same time. The brother that you're really close to, the one that joked about the TV and everything, what'd you say his name was?
Charlie.
Charlie, and he's in Fort Lauderdale?
Yeah.
Okay. Tell me what kind of car he has.
He has like 5 cars.
Can't tell me all of
He
them.
drives I think one of them is an unmarked police car.
Oh, really?
He's a bit of a character.
Okay.
So I don't know what he's driving at the time.
Right.
But I'll tell you, he's a periodontist, and he has this practice where he works from early in the morning till late at night. So if you ever wanted to find his whereabouts, he's working all day long until early in the morning till late at night, always driving to a different office and working.
Oh, he goes to different offices?
Yeah, he works in different offices all over South Florida and does implants for people. And he works really hard all the time. He has a girlfriend, so he's pretty much accounted for all the time.
Charlie, was that his first name?
Charlie's his first name.
Not Charles?
I think Charles is his legal name. No one calls him that.
What's his last name?
Adelson.
What's his middle?
J-A-Y.
Sorry, you okay?
Yeah. No.
I meant to, like,
It's fine. Our last interaction wasn't nice.
oh, you're talking about personal.
Yeah, I'm just looking here. I didn't want him to take the boys this afternoon. I had wanted to have them. And I talked over with my brother and realized, just their dad wants to take them swimming. It's not worth getting upset over. He sent me that message at 9:15 this morning.
You were telling me before, when we were riding up here, that the agreement was that you all were gonna have some type of phone call at 11:15 this morning. Is that correct?
Well, not exactly, just that we needed
Okay.
to have the talk at some point before, we have to decide before Monday of what to do about his school, where Ben's gonna go to school, and he said, I'm gonna be done. I thought it was 11:15, but when we listened to the message, it was 10:30.
Okay.
When he said, I'm gonna be he went to like a workout class at the gym. He
At
said,
Premier.
At Premier.
Mhm.
Said, I'm gonna be out of it by such and such a time, you could call me then. And I called, but I think we could see what time I called him. I thought it was more of like, let's see, recent calls. I called him, well, that's him calling in at 9:02. I called him at 11:42 and got his answering machine.
He called you at 9:02?
He called me at 9:02.
Mm-hmm.
The repair guy was there, and honestly, I leave my ringer off a lot of the time, so I didn't even hear the call come in. He left me a message. I called him at 11:42, and left him a message, just saying, okay, I want to talk about school for Ben, and I assume I'll see you at 4:30 today. When I figured he's going to take the kids swimming,
Right.
and he'll drop them at the house at 4:30.
Okay. So in other words, the whole meeting at 10:30 or 11:15
Just didn't happen.
Right. Okay. All right. Let me get this. There's a lot. We just have to eliminate everything. Okay. You know what she's saying, right?
I'm assuming I'm a suspect. I can't
No,
really
you're not a
remember.
suspect. I'm not, I don't consider you a suspect. I asked you to come up here. You came up here voluntarily. I'm not Reggie Miranda. You are not under arrest. You are the closest thing to family that I have to Daniel right now. Okay? You are.
I'm so sad for. I
So,
was thinking about something else. He told me that he comes. We have week on, week off, but on Wednesdays we do an overnight.
right.
And he told me that he might have some work up in New York and he might not be back in time for the Wednesday overnight. So there's no way that he did this because he had all kinds of plans like for next week that
Oh,
were.
you're saying he would not hurt himself?
No,
Okay, all right.
it wasn't him.
Okay. He has no reason to hurt himself or anything along that.
No, I mean, I
Okay.
can see him being really sad when we first got divorced.
Right.
But now he's got Amy and he loves those boys.
Okay.
And things were really good for him. There's no way he did this to himself.
Okay. I believe you.
Which really scares me because it means there's someone out there that's willing to do this to him, and I'm scared for the kids.
Okay. I understand I
And
understand
they're at school right now, and I want to.
There's an officer at the school.
Okay.
The kids are fine.
Okay.
Okay, there's no, the
I don't
kids
know how
are,
I'm gonna tell them.
well, we're gonna help you with that, okay? But here's what I have to do right now, and I'm just trying to, I wanna get this down, Pat. I know you don't have your phone to refer to,
Okay.
but that's okay.
You'll have all that information.
Right, because I'll check that against what you tell me.
Okay.
Your last phone your last personal contact, in other words, in person with Daniel, was when?
He goes by Danny.
Danny, okay.
No one calls him Daniel.
Yes, I don't know him, so I'm sorry.
I'm just
Okay,
telling you
Danny.
so that it just feels really impersonal. My last face-to-face contact with him. Wow.
Another tangent with unnecessary information the detective did not ask for.
We do a lot of like leave off pickup at the school, right? Where one of us will take the kids to school and the other one picks them up. When was the last time I saw him? I definitely saw him when I picked the kids up. I feel like there's something since then, but that would have been.
No, I'm gonna wait. I'm not familiar with the,
Okay, I'll get Annie, because she wanted it before. Yeah.
And that was that morning I drove down, so that was June 30th?
Okay.
Whatever that Monday morning was that we drove down to Miami. I saw him, I met Amy. Then we did a lot of Skype, like we'd Skype every day while I was gone. But that's not in person. I came back with my parents. We drove back all together, and then that Friday, which would have been last Friday, a week from today, so if today's the 18th, it was Friday the 11th, that's my other brother's birthday, and I would have seen him, but I had been with the kids for like 12 days straight, and I was getting really sad at the idea of drop-off, of Danny coming to pick him up, and so my folks said, you know what, why don't you just So at about 4:45, I just went over a friend's house. I didn't see him that day. And then he had the kids, and I got some sort of laryngitis, and I was alone all weekend, so that was Saturday, Sunday. And then this week, I missed the kids, so I visited them at school on Monday and Tuesday.
They were staying with Danny?
They were with Danny that whole time, but Danny and I had started on days when we really missed the kids. We'd go have like lunch with them or breakfast with them. So I went and had lunch with them or read them a story. I saw them Monday, I saw them Tuesday. Wednesday was my overnight, and so so that was Wednesday, and then he had them Thursday was yesterday.
Yeah.
So that was the last time I had face-to-face contact with him.
Was?
June 30th.
June 30th, okay. And then yesterday, y'all were conversing on text about this phone call, or about this discussion for Ben.
On email, I think,
Okay.
about, we'd both spoken with an administrator at the school, and so yesterday morning I emailed him and said, I'd really love for him to go to this school. I think we should accept it. Here's why. And then I asked him a second question about Ben's birthday coming up, because I didn't have Ben on his birthday, and he wanted this Lego thing, and I wanted to make sure that no one else got it for him. So I asked him if he was going to do a party for Ben, so I knew ahead of time whether people would be bringing presents or whatever, and so I knew whether he would have gotten it from someone else or whether I should buy it for him. And he wrote back and said, when your voice feels better, let's talk, because my throat was really hurting. He said, let's talk, we need to work this out for Monday. And I sent him an email, you'll see it sometime this morning while I was home working on my paper, that said, okay, I'm ready to talk whenever you are. I don't know what time I sent it, but if I called him at 11:40, it was either before I called him, because I thought normally he would have called.
Okay.
Like when he said I'm done with the class at 10:30, and I had said, okay, let's talk, and then sent him a call or an email, like, I thought it was weird I hadn't heard from him, but I just thought, like, oh, maybe he's busy with something or showering. Or...
But he told you at some point that he was going to premiere this morning.
Yeah, no, that
When-
phone message says, I'm going to premiere, I'll be out 10:15, 10:30, and so you can call me after that.
When did you receive that phone message?
Maybe after the repair guy left, so maybe
This
at
morning?
like, this morning, like
Okay.
at 11-ish or something.
All right. So you're at your house with the repairman, he leaves, you go back to working on your papers, and then you leave your house around noon, drive down, Trescott's blocked, you turn around, you go back around on Benton, and then you go to
There's a
the...
tree.
Right. Pardon?
I thought it was like a tree that fell down or
Right.
something.
Right. So,
I didn't even think, like, that's the house. I saw a few houses blocked off, and I'm sorry, I'm wasting
sorry,
time.
no, you're not wasting my time. I think I asked you before, you don't have a number for Amy. You do not have a contact number for her,
Don't.
but you know she's a professor at NYU.
Yeah.
You know that her and Danny have been seeing each other, and that she stayed here from the end of June to the 1st of July, just
At least 2
28
days, maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
and she met the children,
Yeah, she met a few friends in town too.
and you don't know anything about her ex,
No, I know she was married.
right? And she has children
She has a son
in New York,
in New York.
okay,
She's a son. I think he's 14.
okay.
Um,
Do you know how old Amy is?
she's 50.
She's 50?
Yeah. She doesn't look 50. She's very beautiful. But she is, not that you can't be beautiful at 50, but she looks really young. She's very pretty and accomplished. And
You know her date of birth?
I only know that she is 50. I don't, because I was looking her up one time, feeling.
Oh, okay. Okay, so she's 50, she goes by Amy Adler.
Her middle initial is M.
M, okay?
So that, like, if you looked her up, oh my god, if you looked her up on the law school website, you'd find her that way.
Okay.
her brother's he's like a famous fashion designer, so I think they spend a lot of weekends like in the Hamptons, and she lives in the city. And
What is she talking about?
lives like, you know, good life.
Okay. You gave me a name of Matt Price, who's in DC.
That's his best friend.
Is that an attorney?
He's an attorney, yeah. I'm sorry you have to deal with so many lawyers.
That's okay, I'm used to it. I gotta deal with the state attorney's office, public defender's office, private attorneys.
The only time I've ever been in this, I represent victims of crime. I represent immigrant victims of crime, so it's the only time I've ever been in this building is like
okay.
advocating for my clients.
And the other friend,
The other friend is Josh Berman, also attorney. He's in New York City. What does GSR stand for?
gunshot residue.
Residue?
Residue.
Okay. This is a really hard job you guys have.
Can't be. All right, right hand. Okay, and are you right or left-handed?
I work with both.
Okay.
But right-handed.
Okay, left hand. Since noon today, have you washed your hands at all?
I wish I could tell you I had, but I haven't.
Okay.
I'm filthy.
And a picture, correct?
Yeah.
Take a picture. I'm just gonna take a picture.
With my hands?
No,
No,
of you.
you.
Just
You
stand,
just stand
up,
up.
and then you can go to the bathroom.
Okay.
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 All right, ready?
Do you need to escort me?
I'm just gonna walk you around the corner. It's not really, it's just showing you where it is. What time do your kids get out of school?
So, I think this school ends at like 5,
Okay.
but I usually pick them up early. Danny probably told them he was going to take them to Truesdale today, so they'll be expecting earlier. But at 5, it would be times.
That's what time they close?
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure they'll stay open.
Okay. Okay.
They were supposed to be with me this week, so normal for them, other than this swim bit, would have been to spend the weekend with me and
Where did they sleep last night?
with Danny.
With Danny?
Yeah.
Okay. So Danny took them,
Sorry.
go ahead.
I got a call. So he has an alarm system in the house, and I
Right.
must still be on the call list for people if there's a break-in. I got a call yesterday. I guess it'll be on the phone when it happened. I got a call from like the company with the alarm company that said like the alarm's been triggered, it's gone off. There's another family in town that we were really close with. The woman's name is Lynn, and she's on the list too, so she got a call. I know this because I saw her yesterday evening. I went to a friend's art gallery thing, and she happened to be there, so it's a small town. And she said, oh, I guess I got a call from Trescott. And
Okay.
I said, oh, I got the same call. I said, but I just figured it was fine. So they called yesterday, and I don't remember what time it was. Maybe the morning, maybe the evening, but it happens sometimes, every
Right.
once in a while with weather or whatever, the alarm gets triggered, so I didn't think anything of it. But I
Right.
wonder if there was like an attempted break-in yesterday.
I don't know, I'll have to check into that. Do you know what the alarm company is?
It's on my phone, right? The message
Okay.
that they left.
Sure.
I probably deleted it, but then I didn't delete my deleted messages, so if you look at deleted, you could find it.
Okay.
If not, I could probably figure it out. And Lynn could tell you.
Okay.
If you had to ask her.
That was yesterday?
It was yesterday.
But no calls today?
Mm-mm.
Where did the children sleep the night before? Have they been staying with Danny right along?
Yeah, except week on, week off, but with Wednesday overnights. So Wednesday night they were with me.
When you say Wednesday overnight, Wednesday.
It means like if it's a mommy week, then
Right.
they're with you all week. Except Wednesday night they'd go to Danny.
Okay.
If it's a Danny week,
Right.
so they're with him all week except Wednesday night they came to me.
All right, and then so Wednesday
And
night
that's
they.
the last time. I didn't tell you this, but I thought about it in the bathroom. I didn't have an interaction with him, but that's the last time I saw him was Wednesday. I picked up the kids and I was going to take them to Whole Foods.
Okay.
And I saw Danny working on his computer in the window of the Whole Foods, and I took him to BurgerFi instead.
Oh.
Because he and I were, divorced,
Right.
and interactions with him were hard. And it was
Sure.
my one day with the kids, and I thought, well, if we go inside, it's gonna be like all of us together, and I wanted time by myself
That's fine.
with them. So I took them, but that's the last time I saw him. So I saw him sitting there Wednesday afternoon working.
He was inside Whole Foods.
He was inside Whole Foods with
Okay.
his computer,
Okay.
writing.
And the kids came out.
The kids didn't see him.
Okay.
We were just about to enter. I saw him. I thought, oh, my one day with the kids,
Okay.
and so I went and got burgers instead.
To the BurgerFi. Okay. All right. So then Thursday
I got a call.
you got called about the alarm. Had you had any contact with the kids during that time?
On Thursday, I had them Wednesday night. I brought them to school on Thursday, and then, no, not after I dropped them off.
Okay.
And there's a record at school of like when you log in, so I probably dropped them off a little before 9, but they could tell you what
Okay.
time.
All right. And then so then he kept them last night,
Mhm.
Thursday night, and then he would have driven them to school.
Mhm.
What time does he normally drop them off at school?
It varies. Sometimes he has breakfast with him. I got the call from him. It was 9:04, I think.
Right.
So he must have already just dropped them off and was probably driving from school to the gym, and that's why he was saying, "Going to this class. I'll touch base with you after."
Okay. All right. And then no contact after that.
We had some texting contact. That's when I was saying that my last contact wasn't very nice. I was saying, well, I wanted to pick them up at 3, and he was saying, well, you are only allowed them after 4:30, and I was like, well, what about last week? I picked them up at 5, and he said I was just being nice, and I said, I guess nice was fun while it lasted.
Okay.
That's the last thing I said to him.
Okay. All right. His parents and his family, do you have contacts for them in your phone?
I have contacts for at least one of them.
Okay.
I think I'd been
I mean, unless you have something I can't think of, I'm looking for some reason that someone would want to hurt him.
not just hurt him.
Right.
I mean,
I know, but the intention.
I could see one of my friends wanting to shake him,
Right.
but with a gun,
Right.
no. I don't know who would do this, and I'm very scared because I don't understand why this would happen. He and I got along fine for the sake of the kids. You heard the message where he was like, well, maybe we'll just take a walk around school. And
Right.
I mean, I found him hard to be around, but so did a lot of people. They all knew he meant well. He was a decent, good human being. He wouldn't hurt anybody. He would never do this to anybody. I don't know who would want to hurt him like this. I really don't.
All right. I need to ask you, was your divorce, you said before it had nothing to do with infidelity, no extramarital affairs or anything like that.
Neither one of us.
It was just simply the fact that you all just didn't get along anymore, or was it just the fact that he was belligerent to you?
He never hurt me physically, but he was emotionally abusive.
Okay.
And I didn't tell most people that, so all most people know is it just didn't work out, and it's just the kids are young, and this is just better this way. So other than my family, who saw the way he treated me, most people were, well, I think his family was very surprised. He told everyone around the community that I was mentally ill, because only a crazy person would leave him, and
Okay.
so there's a lot. But who would? Yeah. So that's it. The circumstances, plain and simple, were it just wasn't a really healthy marriage, and I thought it'd be better for the boys if they didn't grow up thinking that's the way you treat women.
but he didn't hit me, he didn't hit them, he didn't have a drug problem, he didn't gamble, he didn't cheat on me, I didn't cheat on him. There's no other, I keep thinking the only like unknown I can think of is like Amy's ex-husband. Like, is he still in the picture? Is he upset?
Right.
Danny, I defriended him from Facebook because I found it too upsetting to like see intermittent pictures of the kids. But I wonder, he's very, very public on Facebook about like where he is, when he's traveling, where he's going, and so I wonder if he's got pictures up of him and Amy, and if there's a jealous ex-husband in the...
You know where this ex-husband would be?
He'd be in New York too.
Is he also an attorney?
I don't even know his name.
Okay.
I just know when Amy came down here, they went over a mutual friend of ours. It's a guy that works at the law school. This guy Jay and his wife Dory is a good friend of mine, and they have kids, my kid's age. And I said to her, I remember saying, so what's she like, like she met her before I did, and she said, she's really nice, and she's, very sweet, and she's recently divorced too, so she knows how awkward all of this is to meet the new person.
Okay.
I don't know, and I'm scared.
Okay. Have you had anything happen at your house?
No.
Nothing?
Uh-uh.
And the information for Best Buy, for the service tech that was there, that's at your house?
Mm-hmm. I'd be happy, if someone wants to
we'll
come back
get
with
that.
me.
We'll get that. And that was basically from when he came out there to serve, well, I guess to replace the
He
TV.
came out to fix it, and then told me that what was wrong with it wasn't fixable.
Right.
And so I called Charlie to find out, should I buy a new one or should I fix
Right.
this one? And he was like, just buy a new one. And
And once he left, do you remember what time the serviceman left?
probably around 10, a little
10.
before 10.
Okay.
And then I left by 12.
But between that time, between 10 and 12, you were by yourself working on your papers and stuff.
Yeah.
Were you doing on papers or computer?
It was all on computer.
Okay.
And that's what I was thinking. I was like, I sent some edits in to someone at the law library
All right.
during that time.
Okay.
I called a few friends. I sent some texts. All of that'll be
On the phone?
on the phone.
Or did you call from your house phone?
I don't have a house phone.
Okay, you use all your communications is over your cell phone?
Yeah.
Do you have more than one cell phone?
No.
Okay. All right. I'm going to introduce you to a victim advocate. She's going to be very helpful. And she's going to, once the phone comes back, she'll get the numbers for his folks. You're saying everybody's in Canada, is that correct, on his side of the family?
His She's a woman.
No.
You're welcome. I'll fill out whatever paperwork you want.
I have it right here.
Search the van. I can read it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Have you witnessed that, Sarah?
Sure.
We got an alternative for the kids?
What's the alternative?
Right now, Joanna's calling one of her friends that she gave us and trying to see if they can have the friend come here,
Right.
and then they can go together and pick up the children. That way
Okay.
she'll have a support system.
Right,
So.
absolutely. The receipt you just rolled up, what was that for?
That was lunch. I was trying to find the receipt from the bourbon, but I may have put it with the bourbon. This is from yesterday. It's lunch. I think I need to, I had like a whole weekend of plans ahead with the kids and stuff. Like, should I start contacting people and let them know that like I can't,
Just,
what's a good idea?
um,
I just, like, I can't show up for like play dates right now, so.
sure, yeah.
I don't know, like, do you want me not to tell people what's going on? Is this like,
Well,
I got that call from Lisa Carey, so like, how did she find out?
Well, she said she saw something in the neighborhood or heard
She
something,
said she
right?
heard there was a shooting on Trescott. I thought because she's a real estate agent, maybe she was
Right.
rolling around and she saw Trescott. But how did, like, is it on the news? Like, did
Well, I can tell you that there was news media out there with cameras, but I don't know if anything has been reported as to the specific address.
okay.
I don't know what our public information office has released.
I'm asking for you, like,
Okay.
I don't want to like make this,
She wants to know what she can tell people or what she can't right now.
which, in
Well,
terms of making things better or worse for you.
I would say that for right now, I would not deny to anybody that something did happen, but
But
you
if
could.
I'm gonna call and cancel all my, like, I was supposed to be at a party
Right.
tonight, like,
Okay, I can't. Basically, I can't go. There's been an incident
so I
that's
can
happened
just
in front
tell
of
people, I'm just not gonna be able to be
Right.
there, I'll talk to you later, and that's
Right.
it.
That's
Okay. I understand why I'm a suspect. I guess I'm not a suspect. I understand why you would think that I would do this, but not you, but
Right.
I'm just worried about the kids. And I'm so sorry for his family.
Hi, honey. Oh, dear. Oh, Wendy.
I really needed some help, but I'm sorry, I needed to call you.
Okay, sweetie.
Did they tell you?
They didn't tell me. I know.
Are things on the news?
It is on the news, but I don't know anything. I know there was a shooting in Danny's block this morning. That's all I know.
That's all I know.
Oh, dear. Oh, honey. Do you know how he is?
He's not good, Jane.
Really? Holy moly.
But I don't know if it matters if they're at noon. I mean, obviously, like, I would be one of the people that they would think did it.
I mean, you have certainly the most contentious relationship with Danny that anyone has.
Yeah.
All right, please introduce yourself and spell your name.
My name is Wendi Adelson, Wendiadelson.
How are you employed, Ms. Adelson?
I'm an attorney.
All right, and do you know?
Microphone up just a little bit, if you would, please, ma'am. All right?
I'm an attorney.
All right, how were you employed back in 2014?
I was employed at FSU Law School.
Okay, and were you a member of the Florida Bar at that time?
I was.
All right, and did you know Dan Markel?
Yes, I did.
How did you know Mr. Markel?
He was my husband.
When did you meet him?
We met in 2004.
Okay, and when did you marry?
We married in 2006.
Did you ever live in Tallahassee?
I did live in Tallahassee.
When did you first move to Tallahassee?
We moved to Tallahassee in the fall, August of 2005, and we lived in Tallahassee that academic year, so from 2005 until the summer of 2006, and then we spent a year living in Miami from 2006 to 2007, and then I lived back in Tallahassee from 2007 to 2014.
Why did you move to Tallahassee the first time?
The first time we moved to Tallahassee for Danny's job. He got a job at FSU Law School.
All right, and what about the second time?
And the second time we moved back to Tallahassee because he had tried to get a job at University of Miami Law School and it didn't work out.
All right. So both times it was for his employment?
Yes,
Okay. Did you like living in Tallahassee?
I did.
All right. And did you live on Trescott Drive?
We did. That was our home.
And where are you from, Ms. Adelson?
I'm from Broward County originally.
Okay. And do you have family members in Broward currently?
I have one family member in Broward.
Where do you live currently? Or you can just tell us.
I live in Miami-Dade County.
And what about your parents? Where do they live?
They currently live in Miami-Dade County.
All right. And what about your brother, Charles Adelson?
He lives in Broward County.
All right. And do you have any children?
I do.
And how many children do you have?
I have 2 children.
What are their ages?
They are 10 and 8, turning 9 soon.
Okay. Both boys?
Both boys.
And both the biological children of Dan Markel?
Yes.
How are your family members employed, specifically your parents and your brother?
My mom is not currently working very much. She helps out with my dad's office. My dad is a dentist, and my brother Charlie is a periodontist.
And does your family have a dental practice in South Florida
They do.
that they own and operate?
They do.
Okay. Is your family in South Florida wealthy? I know it's a relative term.
Are you asking me to speculate?
No, I'm asking if they're wealthy. You may, if you don't know, you say you don't know.
It depends how you define wealthy.
Okay. Are they millionaires?
No.
Okay. When did you separate from Mr. Markel?
We separated in the fall of 2012.
And was part of the reason for your disagreement or separation having to do with how to raise the children in terms of your faith?
Yes, we had different ways of practicing our faith.
Okay. Do you know when you filed for divorce?
I believe it was the fall of 2012.
Okay, 9/10/2012 sound right to you?
That sounds right.
And when you separated initially in the fall of 2012, did you move to South Florida with the kids?
No, I did not.
You didn't go to South Florida with the kids?
No, I did not.
Was it your desire during that time to move with the children to South Florida?
I would say right then, no, it wasn't.
Are you familiar with a court order ordering you to come back to Tallahassee from South Florida?
I'm not familiar with that.
When you moved out from the marital home there on Trescott Drive, you lived at another residence in Tallahassee, is that correct?
I did.
And do you recall the address there?
I do.
Okay. And was there a time during the time that you were living there at Aqua Ridge that you determined that you would like to move to South Florida with the children?
There was.
All right. And were your parents very involved in trying to facilitate that relocation?
My parents were supportive of me moving to South Florida.
Would you describe your parents as being over-involved in your personal business?
As compared to other people's parents?
Yeah.
I don't know.
What was the child custody schedule when you were living at Aqua Ridge? And I assume Mr. Markel continued to live in the marital home on Trescott?
He did.
Okay. What was the custody situation with the kids?
So the custody situation changed over time and depending on the part of the year. But I think in the beginning, we would do a Wednesday night overnight. It was about 50-50 shared custody, but I don't remember the exact arrangement. I do remember in the summertime it would switch to week on, week off, but during the school year it was slightly different.
So still 50-50, but not necessarily every other week. It was mixed up within the week.
It was.
Okay. And you mentioned that you did develop a desire to move to South Florida. Did you file a motion to that effect on January 14th, 2013?
That sounds, I did file a motion. I don't remember the exact date,
Okay.
but that sounds about right.
All right. And in that motion, did you make some allegations that Mr. Markel was making things difficult for you at work?
I did.
Okay. And was that motion granted or denied?
That motion was denied.
All right. Denied with prejudice?
I don't remember.
Okay.
If you have it, I'm happy to take a look.
Okay. But in any event, you were not able to move at that time.
I did not move.
And were you upset about being stuck in Tallahassee?
I was relieved.
You were relieved. You wanted to stay in Tallahassee.
I was happy at my job.
Okay. Do you recall when your divorce to Mr. Markel became final?
The summer of 2013.
Okay. July 31st sound about right?
That sounds right.
Would you consider your divorce with Mr. Markel to be a nasty divorce?
I think most divorces aren't very pleasant.
Okay, but this one was like really unpleasant, right?
I found getting divorced to be unpleasant, yes.
And in the litigation that ensued between the two of you, you guys argued over things as small as a tennis racket, I noticed in one pleading.
I don't remember that.
Did he threaten to press kidnapping charges against you?
Objection, hearsay.
Overruled.
I don't remember
Remember
that. No.
Did he threaten to go after your law license? Remember that?
I don't remember that, no.
Do you remember him saying you failed to disclose a bunch of assets in the divorce process?
I do remember that.
Okay, did you guys have any mediations as part of your divorce?
We did have mediations leading up to settlement.
2 8-hour mediations, correct?
I don't remember how long they were, but they seemed very long.
Yeah, and they both did not result in a resolution.
They did not.
All right, but you did reach a settlement, I think, kind of just on the eve of a trial on the matter, correct?
That sounds right.
Do you remember this motion that was filed by your deceased ex-husband on March 26, 2014, involving, among other things, that had to do with your mother, an allegation that your mother was disparaging the children?
Objection.
I'm sorry.
Hearsay.
Overruled.
Disparaging him to the children is what I meant to say. Are you familiar with that pleading?
I am familiar with that pleading.
All right, and in that pleading, did he allege that you were depriving him of physical access to the children?
I don't remember the specifics.
Do you recall whether he was complaining about you refusing to communicate with him about right of first refusal to the children during your time with them?
I know he was frustrated about the Skyping.
Lack of communication via Skype?
It's
between
hard
he
to
and the
Skype
children?
with two toddlers, yes.
All right, and in that motion, do you recall him being upset about an allegation that you let the kids eat non-kosher foods?
I remember him being upset about that in general, but I don't remember whether it was in a motion or not.
What does that mean, non-kosher foods?
So kosher rules have to do with the separation of milk and meat, or dairy and meat. So non-kosher foods would be meat that hasn't been killed in a way that conforms with Jewish law, or the mixing of the two.
And is observing those types of eating habits something that's important to you?
It is not important to me.
And was it something that was important to Dan Markel?
It was important to Danny.
And it was important to him that the children observe that way of eating, correct?
It was.
And in that motion, did he seek to restrict your mother's contact with the kids to supervised visits only?
I don't remember, but if you'd like to show me the motion, I can take a look.
Okay, but you don't remember that portion?
No.
All right. Do you remember the allegation that your mother made statements to the children that grandma hates you,
Overruled.
grandma says you're stupid, your father is trying to take my sunshines away, anything like that? Do you recall?
No, but again, I'm happy to look at it if you'd like to show me.
I understand. Do you recall that Mr. Markel was seeking sanctions against you personally in that motion?
I don't remember that.
Do you know whether this would have been a motion that you would have shown to your mother? Would she have been aware of it?
I probably would have shown my mom the motion.
Is it fair to say that your parents are very protective of you?
I think that's fair to say.
Is it fair to say that your brother is very protective of you?
I think that's fair to say.
Okay. What about Dan Markel? Did your family like him?
Do you want to specify a point in time?
Well, I'm specifically thinking of a statement you made in the interview after his death, where you indicated that your parents were very angry with him. Is that accurate?
At that point in time, during our divorce, I do think they were angry with him. They felt like he had treated me badly.
And the motion to preclude your mom from having unsupervised contact with your kids, that was still pending at the time of his murder, correct?
That's possible. I mean, I don't think anyone took that motion very seriously.
Okay. Did your mom take it seriously?
I don't think so.
Did Dan Markel take it seriously?
I don't know how Danny felt about a motion. If he wrote the motion, he was probably taking it seriously.
I want to approach with some emails. Have you had an opportunity to review State's Exhibit 80?
Your Honor, could I see what the state's of approaching? Your Honor, and I don't know if you want to do it now or I'm gonna request a sidebar on this.
What's that?
I'm gonna request a sidebar on this, Judge.
The letter identified first.
This is State's Exhibit 80. Just take a moment and flip through, make sure this is the exhibit you reviewed previously.
I've been shown these exhibits.
Okay. And are these exhibits fair and accurate copies of emails between yourself and your mother, Donna Adelson?
They are.
Okay. And the email addresses on this exhibit, donnaharvey@gmail.com, whose address is that?
My parents have a joint email address.
Okay, but you were communicating with one of them in particular in these emails, right?
Whoever signed the email, but it could be from either or both of them.
Okay, either could have used it, but we can deduce from who signed it who this one was from?
That sounds right.
Okay, and Wendi Adelson@gmail.com, is that you?
That is me.
All right, Judge, at this time I asked to move into evidence, State's Exhibit.
We'll go sidebar. Let me give a brief legal explanation to the jury. You've heard a number of hearsay objections about things that were said by Mr. Markel, things that are in these emails by another person who may not be testifying. Normally, we refer to those things as hearsay, and they're not allowed without the person actually testifying, but there are a whole bunch of exceptions to that. And one of the exceptions to that is when it's not being offered to prove that what's said is true, but simply to show that it has been said because there's some relevance to the fact that these statements were made. So I'm not offering these statements to show they're true. These persons, I mean, obviously Mr. Markel can't be here for us to have cross-examination of him. We don't anticipate that the other Miss Adelson will be here as a witness. We can't test. The attorneys will not be able to test that to see whether that's true or not, but I am allowing it for limited purposes to show state of mind of these persons. So you may proceed, Ms. Kappelman.
Yes, Your Honor. I noticed in the emails that your mother referring to, who I think is Dan Markel, as Jibbers. What does that mean?
Jibbers was a nickname that I gave Danny when he was being really difficult and causing me a lot of pain. Was sort of a nickname I gave him to make him feel less threatening.
So it was a derogatory thing.
I wouldn't say it was derogatory.
Did you call him that to his face?
No, I called him Danny to his face.
Okay.
And gibbers would be what? How would you spell that?
I don't know that I ever spelled it out. In the emails, I think it's spelled with a J, but I guess you could spell it with a G.
Jibbers.
That would be one way to
Ms.
spell it.
Adelson, you had Mr. Markel's phone number programmed into your phone as Jibbers, didn't you?
That's right.
Do you know much about your brother Charles Adelson's business practices?
I know that he does implant surgery.
Do you know anything about whether he offers discounts for cash or does a lot of business in cash?
I have no idea.
Do you know if there's a safe in your parents' house that has stacks of cash inside?
I don't know about a safe with stacks of cash.
So you don't have a stack of cash in your parents' safe that's Wendy's stack?
No.
Okay. Did Charlie Adelson like Dan Markel? And again, I'm referring to the time frame before his death.
I mean, I think he was also, he would listen to me when I would tell him about things I was upset about at the time with the divorce. So whether he liked him or didn't like him, he certainly was supportive of me.
Okay, but he never expressed any dislike?
No.
Did he mention hiring a hitman to kill your husband?
Objection, hearsay.
No.
It is incredibly interesting he would do this without telling her.
Did he ever joke about he looked into hiring a hitman, but buying you a TV as a divorce present would be cheaper?
He did make that joke. He tended to repeat himself, and sometimes he would make jokes that weren't very funny about all kinds of things.
All right, and was that TV, did he buy you a TV as a divorce present?
He did.
And was that TV the same TV that was being repaired at your residence at the time that your husband was murdered?
It was.
Who made the arrangements for that TV repair?
I did.
Your mom didn't make those arrangements?
I don't believe so.
And the repairman was at your house that morning that your husband died between 8:30 and 9:15. Do you agree with that?
I remember he was supposed to come between 8 and noon, and then he ended up coming on the early side.
That's when he arrived, between 8:30 and 9:15?
It's my best recollection.
Did Charlie ever say that he considered all possible options to take care of the problem being Dan Markel?
Objection, hearsay, and,
Oh.
Your Honor, may I just have a standing objection so I don't keep
You
interrupting
bet.
Ms. Beckman? Thank you.
Did he ever say that?
No.
After the murder of Mr. Markel, did Charlie Adelson take you out for a celebration dinner?
No.
Do you recall any dinner shortly after Mr. Markel's death where you were with Mr. Charlie Adelson and vomited?
I do remember that dinner. I'm sorry?
Go ahead, I interrupted you.
After Danny died, I was terrified that someone was going to come after me or my children and harm us as well. And so I didn't leave my house for about a month. And when I finally felt ready to leave the house and have dinner, I told my brother that I wanted to have dinner, that I was ready to finally go to a restaurant and eat a meal again. And I'd barely eaten for a full month, just out of grief and shock. And so that night, when I finally ate for the first time, they ended up taking a while before they sat us, and they sat us at the bar, and I had a drink, and I wasn't used to eating anything or drinking alcohol, and I threw up at the table, the only time in my life I've done something like that, but it was certainly not a celebration.
And you never heard your brother referred to it in that way?
No.
Were you involved in any way in a plot to kill Dan Markel?
No.
Do you have any knowledge other than the statements you said your brother made or the jokes your brother made? Do you have any knowledge of anyone being involved in a plot to kill your husband?
No.
Do you know Catherine Magbanwa?
I have met her before.
How do you know her?
We met one time at dinner when I came home and my brother introduced me to her. And I think we might have gone to the beach once with her and a friend for a few hours.
I'm going to show you what I've marked as State's Exhibit 36. Is that a photograph of you and Catherine Magbanwa at the beach?
With her friend, yes.
Okay, and do you remember the friend's name?
I don't.
All right, is this a fair and accurate photograph from that event?
That looks like the three of us at the beach, yes.
Do you recall when this was taken?
I don't.
Okay, does Father's Day weekend 2014 sound correct?
So June 2014, that's
Yes, ma'am.
possible.
All right, would it refresh your memory to look at the data associated with that photograph?
Sure.
Take a look at this top block there that references this photo. Tell me if you can advise when the photo was taken.
It looks like it was taken on June 15th, 2014.
All right, and do you know where the photo was taken?
I think that's South Beach.
Close to where your parents were living in a condo?
Yes.
And did you say how you know Ms. Magbanwa?
She was dating my brother.
Judge, at this time I ask to introduce State's 36.
Is there objection?
None from Mr. Garcia, Judge.
None from Ms. McDonald, Your Honor.
It'll be admitted.
I'm the one in the middle,
And which one's Ms. Magbanwa?
the one on the left-hand side to the right of me in the photo.
And this one was her friend?
Yes.
Ms. Magbanwa's friend.
Yes.
Approach and show you one more photo. State's Exhibit 37. Recognize this photo?
I don't recognize that photo, but I recognize the people in it.
Okay, who's in it?
That's my brother, and I think that's Katie.
All right, is Katie Catherine Magbanwa?
Yes.
This is a fair and accurate photo of the two of them when, I guess, around the time that they were dating.
That looks right.
Judge, at this time I'd ask to move on to State's 37.
Is there objection?
Yes, Your Honor, this witness is not able to properly authenticate that picture in terms of when it was taken and where it was taken, so I would object.
Sustained.
Your brother dated Catherine Magbanwa?
Yes.
Okay. And was that the context in which you became acquainted with her? Was through your brother?
Yes.
Do you know when they began seeing each other, your brother and Ms. Magbanwa?
I have no idea.
Do you know when they stopped seeing each other?
I have no idea.
Do you know whether the relationship between your brother and Ms. Magbanwa was a serious relationship?
I met many, many girlfriends of my brother's over the years. I didn't get any indication that it was a serious relationship.
Okay. He's a guy that has a lot of girlfriends.
He has had a lot of girlfriends.
How many girlfriends has he had since Catherine Magbanwa?
I have no idea.
Several?
Probably.
And does he have a child with someone now?
He does have a child.
How old is your brother?
43?
Has he ever been married?
No.
Do you know whether your brother makes a practice of giving gifts to his former girlfriends?
I have no idea.
Are you aware of any specific gift he's ever given to a former girlfriend?
No.
Do you know Sigfredo Garcia?
No.
Have you ever met him?
No.
I want to ask you about the week prior to Mr. Markel's murder, like June 30th through July 10th, 2014. Were you in South Florida that week?
I know I was in South Florida for my father's 70th birthday. My dad's birthday is July 5th. I don't remember if his party was on his actual birthday or a little before or a little after, but I remember I went down for his birthday.
Can you tell the jury whether or not you were in South Florida on July 1st, 2014?
I couldn't say for sure.
Okay, but
I may have traveled that day. I don't remember exactly when I went down. I only remember I was there for probably about a week and that I went down for my dad's birthday. But I couldn't tell you more exactly than that.
Your dad's birthday's on the 5th?
It is.
What month?
Of July?
Was Mr. Markel planning to leave town the day after he was murdered?
I believe he was.
Do you know where he was going?
I believe he was going to New York to visit his girlfriend.
And how
To visit his girlfriend?
old was Mr. Markel when he was killed?
He was born in 1972, and he died in July of 2014, before his birthday's in October. He was 41.
41 years old.
Yes.
Did law enforcement in this case analyze your cell phone?
I gave them my cell phone.
Okay. And in your cell phone, you have some contacts for Donna Adelson, Harvey Adelson, and Charlie Adelson, as well as Jibbers, who we've established as Dan Markel. Are all the phone numbers in your phone for them accurate phone numbers for those folks?
I would imagine so.
And I want to ask you about some recorded phone calls that were taken in association with this case. Did you have an opportunity to review a disc of some of those phone calls?
I did. The phone calls weren't played.
I'm sorry, hold on just a minute.
Yeah.
All right, so I provided you with a disc, correct?
Yes.
And a list of the specific phone calls and the voices on the specific phone calls that I was asking you whether you could identify.
Yes.
All right. And did you initial next to the letters of those calls that you were able to identify?
I did.
All right, I'm going to approach and show you State's Exhibit 175.
I just wanted to clarify that we didn't listen to the phone calls from beginning to end for each one, but that we were able to listen to parts of the phone calls so that we could authenticate who was speaking on the phone call.
Okay, and when you say we, who are you referring to?
Myself and my attorney.
Okay, so you listened to, you felt another phone call in order to be able to tell me whose voice was on the call?
That's right.
Okay, and when you initial next to the highlighted portions, okay, I guess I should say, the calls are listed by letter and number, each call, and then I have highlighted the names that I am asking you to authenticate. Is that correct?
That's correct.
All right, and if you've initialed next to that call, does that signify that you were able to authenticate that the highlighted names on that call were the voices of those people?
Correct.
Okay, so namely Donna Adelson and Charlie Adelson, correct?
Correct.
Judge, at this time, I'd ask to move into evidence states 175.
No objection from Mr. Garcia.
written objection from Ms. Markel, Judge. I
Your
can't,
legal objection?
Your Honor, I think it would require a speaking objection, so I'm not sure how you would like to handle
State
it.
your legal objection.
The legal objection is going to be relevance at this point and improper foundation.
All right, I'll overrule that objection. No, admit, State's Exhibit 175.
I want to talk about your location on the day of Mr. Markel's murder. You know that law enforcement looked at your phone and sort of looked at your movements that day?
Yes.
Okay. And that information indicates you were home at the Aqua Ridge residence at approximately 12:27 in the afternoon that day. Is that correct?
I don't remember exactly what time, but that sounds right. I know I had left to meet some friends for lunch, so I guess I was home until that time. That sounds right.
All right. So it seems like kind of around lunchtime, about half afternoon.
Sure.
All right. And then shortly after that, at 12:29, it appears you were traveling on Centerville Road. Is that a normal way that you would ingress and egress from your Aqua Ridge residence?
That sounds right.
All right. And when you left your residence, you said you were going to lunch. Did you go directly to lunch?
No, I stopped and made a purchase for a party that I was supposed to attend first.
And what was that purchase?
It was my first time purchasing bourbon. It was for not a bridal shower. It was for a bachelor. No, it was for a wedding party, but it was the bride and groom together, and they had asked for people to buy certain alcohol to help them.
Like a stock the bar party.
A stock the bar party. I forgot
Yeah.
what it's called.
Okay. And do you remember what type of bourbon you purchased?
I don't.
Does Bullet bourbon sound familiar?
Maybe. It was.
All right.
They had a list of what they wanted, and so I asked the person at the store if they had whatever kind it was.
Okay. And do you recall where you went to purchase the alcohol?
I think I went on Thomasville Road at ABC Liquor.
Okay. Is there a reason you went to that particular store?
No, I don't know many liquor stores. That was the first one that popped up.
All right. And you made that purchase according to the receipt that was in your vehicle at 12:49. Does that sound about right to you?
That sounds right.
Okay. And did you make any stops between leaving your residence and going to the liquor store?
Maybe I purchased gas?
I don't know if you did or not, but I'm referring to your visit to the crime scene.
I did not visit the crime scene.
Okay. You did not pull up to the crime scene tape on Truscott Drive?
No. I was driving on Centerville Road, and sometimes I would take the shortcut through Truscott.
Yes, ma'am.
But when I was driving on Centerville Road, I saw some sort of tape or obstruction, and so I didn't turn.
Okay. And then you went from the liquor store straight to the restaurant?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
All right. And what restaurant was that?
What was the name of that restaurant?
Mosaic?
Mosaic.
Have you seen the photographs that were taken of your vehicle?
I have not. That looks like my car. That looks like bourbon, yeah.
Who had your kids the morning that Mr. Markel was killed?
The kids were at preschool.
But I mean, at what home did they wake up that day?
That morning, I think they were at Danny's house.
Did you stand to gain anything from your husband's death, like financially?
No.
Do you know how much the lawyers that assisted you with the divorce process and litigation that followed the divorce, do you know how much they cost?
How much my lawyers
How
or
much you
Danny's
spent on
lawyers?
lawyers, yeah.
I honestly don't remember.
Fair to say it was a lot of money?
It felt like a lot of money to me.
How many different lawyers did you have during the pendency of your divorce and the litigation that followed?
I had 3.
Do you know how many Mr. Markel had?
I don't remember.
Do you remember your mom suggesting a plan to offer Danny $1 million to allow the relocation of you and the children to South Florida?
Objection, hearsay.
Overruled.
I'm sure I knew about it at the time that it happened, and then I had my memory refreshed about it recently.
Did you ever make the offer to Mr. Markel?
No.
Did you move to South Florida after their father was killed with the children?
So after he was killed, I packed a weekend bag and went to South Florida for what I thought would be a couple of days, maybe a week. My son's birthday was July 29th, and I thought we'd be back in Tallahassee by then.
Did you ever come back?
I did come back a few times, but not permanently.
Okay, so you ended up moving there permanently.
I wouldn't say it's permanent, but I'm living there right now.
Okay. Well, it's been 5 years.
It has been a while. I've been exploring options for employment in many different places.
Okay. And when you initially left to go to South Florida, was that the same day as the funeral service for your husband?
No.
Was it the day after?
It might have been the day after or the day after that. I don't remember.
Did you change your children's last name from Markel to Adelson?
I did.
When was that done?
So after Danny died, there was a lot of press coverage, and CNN put pictures of my children's faces unblurred on national television. Newspapers put their names without any consideration to the fact that they're children. And
I
I
appreciate that, but the question is when did you change their names?
when they started school, I registered them under my name, hoping it would keep them safe.
And was that approximately a year after their dad was killed?
It was whenever I registered Ben for school, so it was soon after. But I didn't legally change their name until after that.
Okay. And where did they start school? When you say you changed their name when they started school, was that here in Tallahassee or somewhere else?
No, it was in South Florida.
So that fall, they started regular enrollment like you would in the normal beginning of the school year?
That's right.
Okay. And did you also eliminate your older son's middle name?
When I legally changed their names, I did.
And you just dropped that from the name?
I did.
Okay. And that was a name that came from Dan Markel's deceased maternal grandmother, is that correct?
The name started with an A, which was to honor my grandfather, Aaron Adelson, and the second half of his name was to honor Danny's grandmother.
Okay.
So we lost an honor to both families.
Okay, thank you. No further questions.
Cross, Garcia.
Thank you, Trish. Ms. Adelson, I represent Mr. Garcia, and I'm going to ask you some questions, okay?
Okay.
Charlie's your older brother or
I'm-
younger brother?
I'm the youngest in the family, so both my brothers are my older brothers.
And how many years older is Charlie than you?
He's approximately 3 years older.
Would you describe your relationship with your brother as a close relationship?
I would.
And the brother I'm referring to is Charlie. And just for the record, all the questions I have with regards to brothers is going to be focused just on your brother Charlie, okay?
Okay.
Charlie graduated high school,
He did.
college,
He did.
dental school,
He did.
So he has substantial educational background?
Yes.
Would you consider him to be book smart?
He did very well in his classes.
So that would potentially be a yes?
Yes.
What about street smart? Do you think he was kind of street smart?
I think he's good with people.
And would it be fair to say that he has a wide range of friends, different types of friends?
He has a lot of friends.
Would you say, well, are there certain friends that he goes out nightclubbing with?
I don't know. He doesn't talk to me about nightclubbing.
Okay. Well, when he has social events, do you ever go out with him socially?
I haven't in a long time. I'm pretty busy with my kids. But I have once or twice gone out with him.
And is it the same types of friends that he goes out to these social events with?
He would usually go with his roommate, who's, I don't think they're living together anymore, but they lived together for a while.
Would you agree with me that your brother Charlie was, I don't want to call him like a socialite, but he would frequent the nightclub scene?
I honestly don't know that.
So your single brother is a pretty handsome guy, right?
I think he's handsome.
Right. We've seen his pictures. Good-looking guy. Never been married, right?
No.
And what kind of car does he have?
For a while, what does he have? What is he driving right now?
Well,
He likes cars. Like
He has a lot of cars, right? And these aren't like Hondas or Toyotas. They're Mercedeses and Ferraris, right?
He drove an unmarked police car for a while.
But that wasn't my question. My question was, did he ever have a Mercedes?
I think so, yeah.
Okay, and it wasn't like a C300. It was like a 5 Series, right?
I honestly don't know anything about cars.
Well, it was the bigger Mercedes, right?
It was big.
It was the bigger one. And he also had a Ferrari, right?
I know he had one really fancy car, but I don't remember what brand it was.
Okay. So you're telling this jury that you don't remember if your brother had a Ferrari?
Cars are really not important to me. You saw mine. I drove a minivan.
Well, but you're not your brother, right?
I am not my brother.
And
No, I knew he had a fancy car. I just don't remember if it was a Porsche or if it was a Ferrari. It was something fancy.
Something kind of fancy,
Yeah.
right? Okay. So you have a pretty successful brother, right?
He's successful, yeah.
And he likes to show off his success with his extravagant cars, correct?
He likes fancy cars.
Okay. Handsome guy, in good shape, right?
He's handsome.
And you indicated that he had a lot of girlfriends, right?
Yes.
Now, I know you didn't go clubbing with him, but were you aware that he would go to like Miami Beach a lot?
I mean,
Or South Beach?
Sure. I mean, I couldn't say how often he went out or where he was going. It's just not something I would really talk to him about.
When your brother took you out to dinner and you vomited, do you remember what the restaurant was?
I do.
Which restaurant was it?
It's called Uvia.
Okay, where's that located?
It's on Lincoln Road.
Okay, and Lincoln Road's in South Beach, right?
Lincoln Road is in South Beach.
Are you aware if your brother took steroids?
No, I'm not aware if he took steroids.
What about if your brother used illicit drugs?
I'm not aware of my brother using illicit drugs.
And the fact that you're not aware if he used it doesn't mean he didn't use it, correct?
No, I'm just saying I don't know.
Do you know when Luis Rivera started serving your brother drugs?
I don't know anything about that.
Your brother would frequent South Beach and Miami Beach sometimes, correct?
I don't know.
You don't know? The restaurant that he took you to was in South Beach, correct?
I was living close to that restaurant at the time.
And your parents had a home in South Beach also, correct?
My parents did not have a home in South Beach. They were renting an apartment.
I'll rephrase it. They had a place to stay in South Beach, correct?
Correct.
I have no further questions.
Thank you, madam.
Thank you, Your Honor. Good afternoon, Ms. Adelson.
Good afternoon.
How are you doing today? You doing okay?
I'm fine.
You nervous?
Am I nervous?
Yeah.
Yes, I'm nervous.
Okay. Now, you stated on direct examination that you are a lawyer,
I am a lawyer.
right? So you understand that the oath that you took before you took the stand, correct?
Yes,
You know the consequences of not being truthful here,
of course.
and you also have a separate obligation as an attorney to tell the truth, right?
Of course.
Okay. Now, do you know who killed Dan Markel?
No,
Did your brother have anything to do with killing Dan Markel?
I don't believe so.
Your mother is Donna Adelson.
She is.
Where is she right now?
Right now, she's with my children
Not in
In-
Tallahassee.
in Miami.
Okay, she's not in jail?
No,
She's never been arrested before?
no,
Okay. She's not even testifying in this case, is she? To your
No.
knowledge?
to my knowledge, no.
What about your brother Charlie? Is he in Miami right now?
He's probably in Fort Lauderdale right now?
Okay, but he hasn't been arrested,
No,
hasn't been charged,
no,
and he's not testifying in this case, is he?
no.
Okay. Are you aware if the state has attempted to subpoena them to come to court?
I believe they have received a subpoena to come to court.
Okay, and it was for them to come and testify in this trial, or you don't know?
I don't know for certain.
Okay. But you know they've received some form of subpoena?
I heard about that.
Okay. When is the last time you spoke to your family? Your mom, in particular?
This morning, I called to check in on the boys.
Okay. How is your relationship with your parents now? Is it estranged in any way, or you still have a good relationship with your parents?
I still have a good relationship.
What about your brother Charlie?
I still have a good relationship.
When is the last time you spoke to Charlie?
Probably last week at some point.
Okay. Now, you had mentioned that Charlie is a father.
He is.
When did he have his child? Is it a boy or a girl?
It's a boy.
Okay.
He was born in December 2017.
Okay. So about, I would say that's over a year after Miss McBanwell's arrest.
I couldn't say.
Okay. Do you know who the mother of that child is?
I do.
Who is she?
You want her name?
Yes.
Her name is Bree Price.
Okay. And is he married to her now?
He's not married.
Are they still together?
Depends on the day.
And do you know if he has any other girlfriends at this
I
point?
have no idea.
All right. Have you been keeping up with the media coverage in this case?
I don't watch any media related to this case.
Okay. So, but you are aware of the attention that has been brought on this case?
I'm aware only because of the constant death threats that I receive, yes.
Okay. So just to specify, you haven't watched any of the specials that have been on air about this case?
I have not watched any of them.
Do you know if your parents have watched any of the specials on this case?
I advise them not to. They may have seen bits of them, but I don't know for certain.
What about your brother Charlie?
I don't know.
Did you watch the state's opening statement in this case?
I did not.
You did not?
I did not.
Okay. So you're not aware of what the state's theory is in this case?
I'm not.
Now, you mentioned on direct examination something about listening to some recordings that the state provided to you.
Yes.
Okay. Is that the first time you ever listened to those recordings?
Yes.
Do you know what those recordings are about?
There are many, many recordings.
Okay. Did they give you all of the recordings?
I don't know. I listened to what I was given, but I don't know if there's more.
How much time did it take you to listen to the recordings that you were given?
Again, I didn't listen to the entire thing, so probably about an hour to go through all of the recordings and listen to excerpts of each of them.
Of each of them. So you're not aware if the state gave you all of the recordings that they provide, that they have in their possession?
I have no idea.
Okay. Did they have you listen to any recordings that occurred before April 19th of 2016? Sorry, 2016.
So I'd have to see the document to remember the exact date on it. I do remember my birthday's in April, so I remember the dates being close to that, but I don't remember exactly.
Did they ask you to listen to the phone call where Charlie Adelson is talking to Miss McBanwell about work?
I listened to something.
Sustained.
So it's fair to say that they only let you listen to portions of the phone calls that they think are important.
I was given conversations and I listened to some of them to authenticate voices, but I don't know. I imagine they thought it was important for me to listen. That's why I did.
Did you listen to a phone call?
Ask your question, don't answer until I rule, please, ma'am.
That will be wrong if the question contains.
Let's go that far. Needed to wake y'all up. Go ahead, Ms. Blunt.
So the question was, Ms. Adelson, did they have you listen to any phone calls where it was a conversation between your brother and your mother, if you were able to identify any conversations like this?
I think I did yes.
Now I want to talk about the circumstances surrounding your actual divorce,
Okay?
which I believe you said was finalized in 2013, right?
Yes.
You just left your divorce papers on a mattress of Dan Markel in the house and left town. Is that correct?
No.
How is it that you delivered the divorce papers to him?
I called him to let him know that I wanted a divorce. It wasn't the first time I asked for a divorce, but it was the last time. And told him that I would see him when he got home. Not home, but back to Tallahassee. And then I did leave the papers for him, but I didn't leave town. I was still in Tallahassee.
Okay. So he was actually aware of that you were going to be seeking a divorce before you actually delivered the papers to him?
I had asked for a divorce several months earlier.
Okay.
That's when we started going to counseling. And he told me that if I tried to get divorced from him, that I could leave with the clothes on my back and that he would take the kids and that I would be penniless. And so when I actually asked for a divorce, I thought it best not to be there.
So is it fair to say that this was not a mutual thing between the two of you, that Danny did not want a divorce?
I don't think he wanted to get divorced.
How close is your brother's relationship, Charlie Adelson, with your mother, Donna Adelson?
I think they're close.
Would you characterize their relationship as closer than you are with your mother?
No, I wouldn't say that. I mean, I do think they talk more frequently than I do, but I don't think closeness always has to do with the frequency of communication.
And you had said on direct that your parents were not happy with Dan Markel's behavior during the divorce.
No, they didn't think he was treating me well.
And is this just Donna Adelson, your mom, or was it both Donna and Harvey Adelson?
I'm sure both of my parents felt that way.
Did they ever express those feelings to you?
Yes.
Did they call him names?
Yes.
Okay. Did one parent do that more than the other, or it was consistent between the two?
I think it was consistent between the two.
Okay. What kind of names did they call him?
I mean, I've had my memory recently refreshed, so I saw things, but my memory is, I don't remember name calling, but I did recently see emails where they called him names.
Now, after the divorce, you started dating other people, right? When is it that you had your first, I wouldn't say serious boyfriend, but your first boyfriend after Dan Markel?
Probably within a month.
Okay. When did he, if you know, did he start seeing anybody else after the divorce?
He did, but I don't know when it started.
Okay. And is that Amy, or was it some other person?
I know about Amy, but I don't know if there were other people before Amy.
Did you know what, at the time of the murder, do you know what, if any, future plans Dan Markel had?
I couldn't really say about his future plans, but I felt like by then he and Amy were pretty serious, and he was trying to spend as much time in New York as possible.
Do you know if his intention was to, and it's only if you know, it was his intention to remain in Tallahassee, or do you know if he was planning to leave the state?
I think he always planned on leaving Tallahassee. It was just a question of when.
Okay. Do you know why? Did he have aversion to Tallahassee, or
No,
just?
it wasn't an aversion to Tallahassee.
Okay.
He was a very ambitious person. And so from the moment we arrived in Tallahassee, he was always looking for a stepping stone toward a better university where he could teach.
And he took a very special interest in what he did, which is, he's a law professor.
Right.
He graduated from Harvard, and he studied criminal law.
Right, that was his specialty.
Okay. And did there come a time where you were dating someone by the name of Jeffrey Lacasse?
Yes,
You know who that is?
I do.
Do you remember when you started dating Jeffrey Lacasse?
I don't remember exactly, but 2013.
Okay. Do you remember how long you dated him for?
I remember it was less than a year, but probably more than 6 months.
Were you dating him at the time leading up to the homicide, which would be July 18th, 2014?
We broke up a few weeks before Danny was killed, or a week or so. We broke up before Danny was killed.
How would you describe your relationship with Jeffrey Lacasse?
I mean, I think it took different turns. I think it was more casual in the beginning, and then it was getting more serious. And then I was feeling more committed to the relationship. And then in late June, we had this big fight. And after that point, I didn't really want to be with him anymore.
Do you know what the fight was about? Do you
I
remember?
I remember what the fight was about.
What was it about?
He didn't trust me.
In terms of
He
seeing
thought
other people?
he thought I was cheating on him.
Okay. And you said you broke up, when was that?
We broke up. It would have been one of the last weekends in June.
So fairly close to when the homicide occurred.
Right.
Now, that spring break, which would have been the month of March, didn't you and Jeffrey Lacasse come down to Miami?
We did.
Okay. And you stayed with your brother, Charlie?
We did.
Okay. And do you know at that time who he was dating?
I don't.
Okay. Does it sound, if I say that was when he was dating Catherine Magbanua, is that a correct statement, or you don't remember?
I don't remember.
Okay. Do you remember having dinner with Jeffrey Lacasse at a restaurant and with your brother, and that Catherine Magbanua was there?
I have a vague recollection of it.
Okay. And do you remember if this restaurant had outside seating?
We always used to go to the same restaurant, and so I know the restaurant, it has outside seating.
Okay. And when you met Catherine Magbanua, Charlie introduced you to her as his girlfriend?
Probably.
Okay.
Definitely as someone he was seeing, right? I don't remember if he used the term girlfriend, but in a romantic kind of way.
Okay.
Not as just a friend.
And am I characterizing Mr. Charlie Adelson correctly when I say, you had said he has lots of girlfriends?
I've met lots of girls over the years, which is why it's hard to remember whether I had dinner with one person versus another.
Do you know what his thoughts and beliefs are in marriage? Does he not believe in marriage?
I don't think he's so pro-marriage, no.
Okay. Do you know how many times you met Katie? We talked about the time on the beach, and then we've already now talked about dinner.
I remember vaguely those two. I don't remember any other time.
Do you remember the name of the person that was in that picture with you?
No.
Okay. Does Yindra Velasquez Mascaro sound familiar?
No.
Okay. Now, you didn't have a really close relationship with Katie, right?
No.
Okay. Did you know that Katie has 2 kids?
I did.
Remember, Ms. Kawas, we're not going to get a first name.
Oh, I'm sorry, Judge, I apologize. Did you know that Miss Magbanua had children?
I did know that.
Okay. Did you ever discuss with Miss Magbanua the details of the divorce that you had before she even knew who your brother was?
That wouldn't be possible because I only met her with my brother.
Okay, so you didn't talk, your relationship wasn't a close relationship where you would talk to her about Dan Markel?
No.
Do you ever remember having a conversation with Miss Magbanua about Dan Markel and your divorce?
It's very possible that I brought it up, but not.
Nothing stands out?
No, not at all.
Now I want to talk to you about the time of the murder, okay? The day before the homicide, all right?
Okay.
You had talked about your custody situation with Dan Markel, that it was a week on, week off. Is that correct?
That's right. at
And an
that time.
overnight stay switch on a Wednesday.
That's my best memory.
So a better way to describe it would be, if it's your week, you have the boys, but on Wednesday night, they will sleep at do an overnight sleepover at Dan Markel,
Right.
and then return them to you the next day.
Or return them to school. And
Or
then,
school. And then you pick them up in the evening.
right.
So the day of the homicide, do you remember what day of the week that was?
I believe it was Friday.
Okay, so the day before would have been a Thursday.
Right.
Okay, do you remember what you were doing that day?
I don't.
Is there any way that you would have been walking down Trescott Drive with your two sons the day before his murder?
No. I don't live in walking distance, so there's no reason why I would have been walking down the street. No.
You and Mr. Markel weren't on that kind of talking or speaking terms where you would be at the Trescott home and he wasn't there?
No.
Okay. You wouldn't go and take the boys for a walk on Trescott Drive?
I don't think so, no.
Okay. And as far as you knew at that time, the kids, what school were they attending?
They went to creative preschool.
Okay, and when you would drop the kids off at creative preschool, do you have to sign them in?
You do have to sign them in.
Okay, and then, so there should be a record of the days that the boys would have been at the preschool.
That's right.
What time would you drop the boys off? Do you remember? Is it an early morning thing, or?
I would drop them off in the morning. I don't remember, maybe it was 8, maybe it was 9.
Oh, but nothing late, like 11?
I don't think so.
And then what would be the usual time you pick them up in the afternoon?
I think it would depend on whether I was teaching or if I had court, what I was up to, but my guess is sometime between 3 and 6, I would pick them up.
So would it be fair to say that, you know, around 11 o'clock in the morning, the boys would probably be in school on a weekday?
That would be right.
Okay. Do you know someone by the name of Whitney?
I do know Whitney.
Who is Whitney?
Whitney was a girlfriend of my brother's.
Okay. Do you know who introduced Charlie to Mr. Adelson to Whitney?
I don't.
Do you know how long they were dating?
I don't.
Do you remember when they started dating?
I don't remember when they started dating.
Okay. When did your brother buy you that TV?
I remember having the TV in the house on Aqua Ridge. So sometime after the fall of 2012. Sometime between 2012, 2013, something like that.
Do you remember making a phone call to Charlie that morning and having a conversation with him without going into the details of that conversation?
Which morning?
The morning of Danny's murder.
Yes.
I'm sorry, Judge. Mr. Markel's murder. Do you remember how long you spoke for?
I don't remember how long I spoke for.
Now, you had described your brother as a talker. Is that fair to say?
Yeah, I think I described him as more of a joker than
Joker.
a talker, but he does
you-
talk.
Do you remember the circumstances under which he made that statement that the state talked about hiring a hitman, but instead I got you this TV? Who else was around when this statement was made?
Well, he tends to repeat himself, so he kept repeating that joke because he thought it was funny.
Okay, but do you remember the time frame of when that happened? Like, was this way before, you know, during the course of your divorce, or was this after?
It would have been when he bought the TV.
When he bought the TV. And that would be after the divorce.
Well, not after I filed for divorce, right? But not after the divorce was finalized. So sometime after, I really don't remember when I got the TV, but maybe sometime starting with the fall of 2012, sometime around then, but it could have been 2013.
Do you know, now your parents' apartment on South Beach, are they still living there?
No,
Okay, so they moved.
they did.
At the time, do you know how much their rent was in that apartment?
I have no idea.
You said they did not own that property.
No.
Okay. And now you said that you stayed in Tallahassee after the homicide.
I stayed for a few days.
Okay. And do you recall if Detective Isom tried to call you?
After I had left,
Before you left, and before you left Tallahassee, but after the memorial service for Mr. Markel?
he did not call me before I left Tallahassee, no.
Did he try to call you?
He called me when I was already on the road,
Okay.
about 4 hours away from Tallahassee.
All right. Did he ever try to talk to you again?
No.
As a prosecution? When is the first time the prosecution reached out to you to speak to you about what happened?
I don't remember ever talking with the prosecution.
Object, proper question.
Let's go sidebar.
Proceed, Your Honor? Okay. Do you know if Detective Isom ever tried to reach out to your parents?
I don't think he did.
Do you know if Detective Isom ever tried to speak to your brother Charlie?
I don't think he did.
Now, you are testifying today under a state subpoena, correct?
Correct.
And that state subpoena gives you immunity for your testimony, right?
Yes.
Can you explain to the jury, since you're an attorney, what immunity is?
Immunity is freedom from prosecution.
So that means that anything you say today can't be used against you if the state decides to arrest you later on.
The state isn't going to decide to arrest me.
Do you know if they consider you a suspect?
I don't know.
Now, the life insurance policy that the state was asking you about, have you received any money from the life insurance policy from Mr. Markel?
I don't know if maybe in the beginning, the life insurance that Danny owed me about $100,000 when he died. I do think that his family made that disbursement. I don't know if they paid that through the life insurance policy, but other than that, there's been, the life insurance policy is money put away for the kids. I've never seen it.
Do you have access to that, or you have no control over that?
I have no control over that.
All right. All right, and I have, where did you say, so your boys are now down in Miami with your mother, correct?
At the moment, yes.
Okay. And you stopped letting Danny's parent, or Mr. Markel's parents, see the boys, is that correct?
2 years after Danny died, I stopped visitation.
Okay, do you have any intention of letting them see their grandchildren again?
I do. We've actually been in discussion the last few weeks.
No further questions, Judge.
Redirect.
How many times have Dan's parents been able to see your boys in the last 5 years?
In the last 2 years after they died, they've been able to see them every time they've asked to see them.
Okay, what about the last 3 years?
Since 2016, they have not been permitted to see the boys.
They have not been permitted
That's right.
by you,
By me, yes.
right? And that's not through lack of trying on their part.
No, that's because of what they did.
Okay, but they want to see those boys, don't
They
they?
very much want to see the boys.
All right. And Dan Markel's sister is the, I'm not sure if this is the right word, but the executor of that trust for the boys, is that right?
I think she has fiduciary responsibility over the trust for the
All
boys.
right, thank you, that sounds right. Did you at one time hold that position in Dan's will?
Oh, before we got divorced, I probably did.
Okay, but sometime after the divorce, he changed that over to the sister?
He must have, yes.
Okay. And did you initiate proceedings to try to fight that decision that he made to make the sister the executor or the beneficiary, have the fiduciary duty for this money over you, to the disbursement to your children?
Can you rephrase
Okay,
the
so
question for
did
me?
you initiate any type of proceeding at any point to try to contest or fight Dan Markel's sister being appointed as this fiduciary for the life insurance for the boys?
I don't believe that I did.
You did not?
I don't remember doing that, no.
No further questions?
All right, any juror have a question of this witness? If you do, write it down. We'll go sidebar. Ms. Adelson, I don't remember what it related to exactly. I mean, I remember you saying this, and one of the jurors had a question about, you said your memory had been refreshed about something. What did you mean by that?
So over 5 years have passed since Danny died, and I'm
Speak to them.
sorry. So more than 5 years have passed since Danny died, and a lot of the things that we're talking about today, I just don't remember at all. And so to refresh my memory, to make sure that I could remember things, certain documents were shown to me, emails, legal pleadings from the case, so that I could remember what was happening at that time.
One of the jurors was a little confused with the timing. You had said you had a boyfriend, and that it was not clear to them whether you said it was a month after your separation and filing for divorce or a month after it was finalized.
Sure. So I started dating someone who was a friend of mine for many years, and it didn't become romantic until after I had filed for divorce. So about a month after I filed for divorce, someone who was a friend in my life became more like a boyfriend than a friend.
Okay. What was wrong with the television that had to be repaired?
I think one of my kids might have thrown something at it, so there was a crack in the TV.
Okay. And why have Mr. Markel's parents not been allowed to see the grandchildren?
Well, they were allowed to see the grandchildren for 2 full years, and I used to cook meals for them and arrange play dates. We had sleepovers, and then I found out that that Ruth Markel had reached out to a foster care agency to try to place my children with that agency, and I became very worried that they were trying to take my children away from me. And so after that time, I didn't feel a level of trust that they could spend time with the kids. I was afraid they were trying to take them from me.
Okay. Follow-up, Ms. Captain.
Your reference to the foster care agency, does that have to do with an email that was sent to me from your mother-in-law?
Yes, it does.
All right, that Dan's mother.
Yes.
And that email was in reference to, in the event that you and your parents were arrested in association with this crime, could I please contact that particular agency to assist with the children in the event they have no guardian temporarily until they could get down here from where they reside in Canada? Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay, so they were not trying to take your children unless there was an event where you were unable to care for them.
But because there's no event in which I would be unable to care for them, that feels like trying to take away my children.
Okay, thank you.
Garcia.
No follow-up question.
McBann.
And this email about there being possible arrests of you and your family, that came right after Catherine McBann was arrested, right?
I don't remember exactly the timeline of that.
Okay, thank you.
Further, Ms. Captain?
No, sir.
All right, you can step down. Do we need to keep this witness any further? Anybody need her any further? McBann?
One brief moment, Your Honor.
Let's talk about the chain of command in this case. Wendi, a law professor, knew she didn't want her hands to be bloody. We don't know if she was involved at all in this crime, but someone's hands would have to be. She discussed her custody issues she was facing with her brother Charlie. Charlie, looking out for his sister, might have taken it upon himself to talk to his one-time girlfriend, Catherine, about killing Dan Markel. Catherine enlists 2 hitmen to do the job for them. Charlie had an elite dental practice, so he couldn't be the one doing the killing. Catherine had connections to hitmen, so she knew she wouldn't be the one pulling the trigger. However, Florida Statute Section 77703 on criminal conspiracy explains that you do not have to be the one doing the dirty work to get in trouble. Planning and, obviously, conspiring for the crime to occur is enough to put you behind bars. Florida Statute 78204 only specifies that to be premeditated, the murder has to be pre-planned and premeditated. the statute does not state that one has to physically conduct the murder themselves in order for the first-degree murder charge to be appropriate. This is why Catherine was found guilty. She directly solicited the hitmen who murdered Dan. She ended up being guilty of 3 things: first-degree murder, conspiracy to commit murder, and solicitation of murder. The hitmen were obviously convicted because they committed the murder themselves. But what about Charlie and Wendi? Surely it must be illegal to instigate a chain of command that leads to the death of someone. Section 77704 states that all members of a chain of command leading to the murder of someone must be held responsible. Therefore, why hasn't Wendi been charged, if not convicted, of conspiracy to commit murder or a first-degree murder herself? Her interrogation may have shed some light on this.